What's up, everybody, and welcome once again to the Links and Locks podcast, the DFS edition. I'm Jason Sobel from GolfBet here at TPC River Highlands, site of this week's Travelers Championship. He is Len Hochberg from RotoWire. We're here to break it all down for you from a DFS perspective. Great event last week, U.S. Open. Awesome job by the USGA setting up the country club, which showed out and really looked fantastic throughout the week. Looked more like an Open championship than the U.S. Open, but ain't nothing wrong with that. And Matt Fitzpatrick certainly knows how to play that golf course following his U.S. amateur victory with now a U.S. Open victory. But we move on just 90 minutes down the road to Cromwell, Connecticut. And Len, let's start out with a little game theory, a 6,800-yard golf course here in the Northeast. What kind of players are you looking at?
Yeah, and good to be with you, Jason, and love the view there of the beautiful sky over your head. I will tell you right off the bat that there are roofers on my house. If we hear any noise, they are replacing the roof. They are not angry at our picks. So anything like that is just incidental. Yeah, 6,800 yards. You would think that would be a cakewalk for today's modern golfer, but it's really not. And you know, they still can defend the course. Last year, Harris English and Kramer Hickok tied at 13 under. That's far from a birdie fest. The fairways are kind of wide until they get to the 300-yard mark, and then they start to pinch them. So they try and do their best to, you know, keep driver out of these guys' hands, make them play some other clubs. It's pretty penal around the greens, a lot of rough around the greens, which the golfer should be familiar with from last week. The greens a few years ago, they started to run them even faster than they used to here at TPC River Highlands. So really a second shot golf course. That's what we're looking for this week. We have to take into consideration last week's major. I know we talk about it all the time, that it's hard to come back and play after this. So that's some other things to consider this week.
All right, let's get right into it and start looking at the top of the board. And there are some superstars here. The Travelers, I've known the people, Andy Bissett, Nathan Grube, the people that run this event, and they have been running it for years, do such a good job. People always ask, how do they get all these big name players, especially the week after the U.S. Open? And basically it's by being friends with the players and essentially asking them and you know, sort of endearing themselves to these players. So this is going to be a great event. We've got some big names at the top. The guys in 5 digits, you know them all. Scotty Scheffler at 11-2, Rory McIlroy, Justin Thomas, Sam Burns, Patrick Cantlay, Xander Schauffele. Are you leaning one way or another here, Len?
Yeah, well, my first thought is that there are a few guys who I'm sort of staying away from. And, I don't know how Rory and Justin Thomas really feel, but I know Rory has had meaningful minutes a couple of weeks in a row. Thomas, not so much last week, but neither one of those guys has ever done particularly well in this tournament. Just one top 10 in all the years they've been coming here. And that was Justin Thomas 6 years ago. I know we talk about avoiding guys who were in crunch time on Sunday at a major just 4 days later, but Scotty Scheffler seems so non-stressed in every situation. He just seems to brush everything aside, and we've seen him come back the following week. He hasn't won since the Masters, but 2 runners up since then. I think he'll do just fine this week. Sam Burns has gotten better at this tournament every year, 43rd to 24th to 13th. He's learning how to play the golf course. I like when I see that from guys. I like him. And Patrick Cantlay, if it's not a major or a players or a big tournament, I hate to be such a facetious or half facetious, but he's played so well. 6 out of 8 tournaments of the non-major players, he's had top 10. So I like him as well.
Yeah, I can see mixing and matching with some of these players. There's not one in the top tier that I say, no, I'm staying away from. So I like each of them a little bit. They're all very pricey, and they're guys that we'll see in the next tier down and the tier after that I like as well. So if you're trying to get all those guys in, maybe you do a more balanced lineup. But the one guy I'll probably have more investment on than others from this top tier is Patrick Cantlay. He's played great at the non-majors over the last year or so. Really recently, he's played really well. And then even at the majors, finally this past week, a nice weekend, shot 1 under on the weekend at the country club. I think he's moving in the right direction. This is a place where, remember, he shot 60 in the second round here at TPC River Highlands as an amateur. This I've always believed would be a site of a Patrick Cantlay victory at some point. It could very well happen this week. I'll have, like I said, some investment on him. All right, moving down, starting the 9,000s at 9,900 with Jordan Spieth and Sungjae Im, Joaquin Niemann, Tony Finau, Keegan Bradley, Brooks Koepka, I guess, if he's still in the field. Tommy Fleetwood, Seamus Power, and Harold Varner III. I assume, Len, and by the way, we're recording this late Tuesday morning. So if we mention some players we like and they no longer play on the PGA Tour by the time you're listening to the podcast, we apologize for that. I'm guessing you're going all in with Brooks Koepka. And by the way, very interesting. The PGA Tour, yes, they've suspended players who have gone to Live Golf, but they cannot legally suspend them until they've already hit a tee shot. And so Brooks won't ostensibly tee it up until next week on the Live. If he wants to play this week, and at the time we're speaking right now, he is in the field. I've not seen him here on site yet, but as of right now, he's in the field. If he does indeed decide to, he can play this week after signing with Live and then go over to Live next week. I'm not sure what the motivation for him would be, but he can if he'd like to.
You know, of all the things that change every 4 minutes, and it's just one bombshell after another, just seeing that first tee shot on Thursday morning, I hear that if he does play, he's got that 4:30 a.m. tee time. Yeah, just what a crazy turn of events that whole thing is. But there's, I'm looking through the nines. It's not my favorite. It's not my favorite 1,000, if we can call it that. I mentioned a few guys in the 10s. I'll mention a few guys in the 8s. I'm sort of looking at Jordan Spieth a little bit. He won here in 2017, the famous chest bump heard round the world. Daniel Berger still reverberating from it. But he has not played here very well since then, but he really has all the tools to play here except putter. I mean, if he could just putt a little bit, this would be a perfect course, I think, for Jordan Spieth. And I'm going to go all the way down to $9,100 to Seamus Power, Mr. Fountain of Youth. He's just made his third cut in 3 majors, the first 3 majors of his career. Interestingly enough, on the DK Sportsbook, he is shorter odds, 28 plus 2,800 than Sungjae Im and Joaquin Niemann. That might be a little bit extreme for me, but it does speak to where Seamus Power is on the PGA Tour landscape these days.
Yeah, so I tend to feel about the same way with you as you. I'm not really going to chase too many guys in the 9,000s. I do like Jordan Spieth, and I like him for 2 reasons. First, you mentioned he's won here in the past. It's a good golf course for him. Secondly, he was so sick that last week, and I have it on good authority that if the tournament had started on Wednesday or if he had gotten sick one day later, he would not have been able to tee it up at the U.S. Open. Just happened to be decent timing where he was able to tee it up. What we've seen from golfers in the past is that all of a sudden you tee it up when you're not feeling well, you got a fever, you're achy, and all of a sudden you start feeling better and you get the second wind, and all of a sudden you start playing that better. Golf gets easy because you're not dealing with all the other stuff as far as your health. I think that could be in play for Jordan this week, sort of getting that second win. So I do like him. And then I'll go to the bottom of that 9,000 list. Harold Varner III, from everything I'm hearing, has decided to stay on the PGA Tour, had an offer from Live Golf, thought about it for a while. I could be way off. By the time this pod gets posted, he could be a Live Golf member. You never know. You up a price, you throw another 0 on the end of an offer, and all of a sudden it goes from a no to a yes. But as of right now, Varner is saying no to Live Golf, and I think that can free him up to go play some better golf without some doubt in his mind. So I do like that. Remember, it's a very mental pursuit, golf is, and so the more you can go after a golfer whose mind is freed up, I think that's always a good thing. All right, 8,000s, and right at the top, I've got a couple of guys that I really like. Davis Riley's my favorite outright play on the board this week, 8,900. I will have a lot of Davis Riley, both in the betting marketplace and, yes, here on DFS. Same goes for Aaron Wise at 8,800. Really like him pretty much every week. My 2 guys that I've been mentioning on the pod, Len, as you know, week in, week out, Aaron Wise and Keith Mitchell continue to be undervalued in pretty much every platform. I'm just going to keep playing them until they win, and I might keep playing them after they win because I think it's going to happen at some point. I'll keep going down the 8s because there are a bunch of guys. I can see some Brian Harmon. I like him this week. Short golf course should suit him. It has in the past. Webb Simpson, who is completely undervalued in the marketplace. He's 80-1. in the marketplace this week. He's 8,500 on DraftKings and DFS, which is a decent number. It's just above the average price. Mark Leishman's won here before. I don't love it, but then I really do like Denny McCarthy at 8,300, coming off a really solid U.S. Open, and Keith Mitchell, the guy that I just mentioned a minute ago, at 8,200.
Yeah, you pretty much run down, covered it pretty well. But Davis Riley is on my list. He just plays well every week. I mean, at some point we're going to say there is a week where he doesn't. It's just unsustainable. But he was not he 31st at the U.S. Open, just enough to play well, but not enough to be completely stressed out and exhausted as much as some of the other guys coming into this week. He was fourth at Colonial, another shorter track, if I can make a slight comparison there. Brian Harman, of course, the one caution is I think he's going to be an incredibly popular guy. He's in the top 8, just about 4 top 8s in the past 7 Travelers tournaments, and there's a reason for that. He just plays it well, so he's going to be very popular. And Mark Leishman, gosh, I've wanted to like him all year. He had a pretty good week last week, silently kind of 14th at the U.S. Open, but I don't know. I don't know if I can pull the trigger on him.
All right, let's get down to the 7,000s. I'll start with Brendan Steele, who's been one of the better tee to green players over the last few months. 9th at the PGA Championship, 10th at the Memorial Tournament. He's firing on all cylinders right now, and he's a guy that's a course horse. When he finds a place that he likes, he tends to play well there year after year after year. This is a place that he plays well. Really like the Brendan Steele play at 7,700. A couple other guys at the same price. Matt McNeely, he's another guy that I tend to target on shorter golf courses. Joel Damon coming off a really strong U.S. Open. I will have a lot of Joel Damon as well. And then moving down the list, those are the guys that I really love in that range. Kevin Streelman, maybe there's a little bit of a bias because I was here for that unbelievable back 9 that he had, 8-9 years ago when he won this event. Shot 29 or something like that on the back 9, if I'm remembering correctly. I do think Streelman has some value on this course as well.
Yeah, I'm with you on Brendan Steele. I know he's one of your guys. 7 top 25s here in the past 9 years. So certainly at $7,700, a very fair price there. A guy that I turn to every time we come up with a short course, Brendan Todd, 13th in Canada, 3rd at Colonial. He was 11th 2 years ago here. It's just short course equals pick Brendan Todd for me. Harris English, talk about a guy really undervalued, the defending champion, only 7,600 and 100 to 1 at the DK Sportsbook. He played only his second tournament back last week at the U.S. Open. I was very surprised that he made the cut. For me, the question this week is really not the golf. We've seen that his golf is back. Let's see his hip on a back-to-back. I'm guessing he's already figured that all out and entered that into the equation. And Cam Davis at 7,500. When I think of Cam Davis, I think of just hitting bombs off the tee. But his 2 best finishes this year have been at Colonial and Harbor Town, 2 top 10s at the shorter courses. He's obviously doing something right there, taking a little bit off the gas. And I guess I'll go one more way down, 7,100. Lanto Griffin, if you really need to cut down to the bottom of the 7s. Missed the cut at the U.S. Open, but made 6 of 7 before that. Qualified for the U.S. Open. He's 3 for 3 in cuts at River Highlands, 1 top 25.
I'll throw one more guy at the bottom of the 7,000s at you. Emiliano Grillo at 7,100. Missed the cut in 7 of his first 9 starts in 2022. He's made 5 in a row. Nothing better than 28th place, but a very good ball striker on smaller greens this week. I can see Grillo having a good week. Down to the 6,000s, and Len, quite frankly, I don't see myself dipping down to this area very often in my lineups. I think there are enough guys to target in the 7,000s that I don't need to go this low. The one guy that I'm looking at that I kind of say, I'm interested in him a little bit might be David Lipsky, another guy who tends to play good golf on shorter golf courses. He's not the biggest hitter in the world, but keeps it in play, doesn't make too many mistakes. I know you're always looking for a good bargain there. You find anybody?
Yeah, well, we talked a couple of weeks ago about Chris Gotterup, and the week we had him up in Canada, he did miss the cut, but he had a great tournament. He came out right after Canada, qualified, went to a qualifier, made the U.S. Open, 43rd at the U.S. Open. You know, at this time of year, this is when the college kids come out. A couple of years ago, I think it was Matthew Wolff and Victor Hovland. Last year, Austin Eckroat has not quite as had the splash that the other two guys have, but this is where you can find value with it, maybe find lightning in a bottle. These guys come out ready to go. Cole Hammer also coming out this week. Well, he played last week on the Corn Ferry Tour. Chris Gotterup, I like at 6,400. Tyler Duncan, he's another guy I turned to on the shorter courses. He didn't follow through in Canada, but he had one bad round in Canada. He shot 76, 66, just missed the cut by one shot. I like him at 6,400. And Justin Lauer at 6,200, another short course guy if you really, really need to get down that far.
All right, it's time to make our ultimate DFS lineup here. We go to the DraftKings and we got $50,000 to spend on the salary cap, 6 players. Len, why don't you kick things off for us?
Yeah, I'm with you on Brendan Steele. So, well, I'm going to leave Brendan Steele for you. I know he's going to be there. So I'm going to go with my guy in that range and Brendan Todd at 7,900. It's just a broken record, short course. Brendan Todd, just 5th on tour in driving accuracy, 5th in putting, just a good fit for this track. And what a price, under 8.
I like it. And you're absolutely right. Brendan Steele was going to be my first play here. I just think it's a really good price on a guy who's got that intersection of form and course history that we love. I had dinner with him last night. He's in good spirits. And the Seabass looked really good, 7,700.
All right. I don't know. Well, I'm not doing the math here, or I haven't. You always do the math, but I think we both like Patrick Cantlay, and I do like him best among those guys up there. For some reason, I don't know what it is in the majors. I mean, he wasn't terrible. He was 14th at Brookline, but he's never in the mix. He hasn't been in the mix in years. It's really perplexing of all the top guys, but I do fully expect him to have a great week this week. He finishes top 15 here, 4 years running. Let's go all the way up at 10-2, and I'll see what we have to do to make room for him down below.
Yeah, I like that. We've got 24-2 left to spend on 3 players. I'm going to spend a little bit more than what we have for average. Davis Riley, I mentioned at 8,900. One of my favorite players on the board. I'm going to be betting him a lot this week at 50-1. I think that's a nice price for him. He's going to make a lot of birdies. We'd expect him to be up there. He's played some great golf over the last 2, 3, 4 months, and I think he's ready to go out and win on this PGA Tour.
What do we got? We got about
76.50 per man.
Okay. So, wow. That's still a lot here. I mean, there's so many ways to go. Everybody knows who I mentioned earlier, but I think that at Harris English at 7,600 is a great value. He can, I don't know if he can win the tournament again, but I think that really underpriced this week.
Well, if you're going to do that, I've got 7,700 left, and I've got a guy who finished 10th place at the U.S. Open, was in the mix throughout the weekend, plays really well on shorter golf courses. I think sort of the weight of playing and being in contention at a major championship for really the first time in his career will be lifted, frees him up to go play some good golf. Joel Damon, 7,700, I think is a nice play. And there's the lineup. Cantlay, Damon, English, Riley, Steele, Todd. What do you think? Winner?
Yeah, we got a top guy. We got a $10,000 guy, and we didn't have to dip into the to the sixes. That's not the easiest thing to do, but good deal.
I love the lineup this week. He's Len Hochberg. I'm Jason Sobel. Thanks everybody out there for listening. Remember, you can find the Links and Locks podcast everywhere you find your favorite podcast. Download, subscribe, rate, and listen to us every single week. Good luck with all your DFS plays for this week's Travelers Championship. Here's hoping you hit the green.